The film Aida presents itself as a deeply introspective narrative, a story that transcends conventional storytelling by merging the external and internal worlds of its protagonist in a fluid and often surreal manner. From the opening scene, the audience is thrust into a space that feels both familiar and alien, a neighborhood alive with color and texture, but shadowed by underlying tension and the sense of unspoken stories. The camera work immediately establishes the tone of exploration, moving slowly through narrow streets, highlighting details that seem inconsequential yet carry the weight of memory and context. These early moments are essential as they lay the foundation for Aida's internal journey, a quest that is as much about navigating her own consciousness as it is about interacting with the people and spaces that define her world. The director skillfully contrasts light and shadow to reflect the duality of Aida's experience, using natural light filtering through trees or the uneven illumination of city streets to echo her fluctuating perception of reality. This technique, combined with subtle soundscapes that include murmurs, footsteps, and ambient noises, immerses the viewer into her perspective, making the audience acutely aware of her attentiveness to details that others might overlook. As the plot progresses, the film transitions into sequences that are visually and narratively more abstract, reflecting Aida's inner thought processes. Scenes depicting her wandering through labyrinthine corridors of her apartment building, interacting with neighbors in fragmented conversations, and observing everyday events take on a symbolic dimension. Each encounter becomes a mirror of her internal conflicts and desires, creating a layered narrative in which the mundane is imbued with psychological significance. For example, a scene in which she pauses to watch children playing in a courtyard is presented not merely as an observation, but as a meditation on the innocence and transience of time. The use of slow motion, subtle shifts in perspective, and reflective surfaces such as windows and puddles emphasize this duality, blending reality with the subjective quality of memory. These sequences demonstrate how the film transcends traditional storytelling, using the language of cinema itself to communicate complex emotional and cognitive states. Character development is central to the narrative, with Aida portrayed as a multidimensional figure whose actions and reflections reveal the intricate interplay between vulnerability, curiosity, and resilience. Her interactions with other characters often carry layers of unspoken meaning, highlighting how relationships shape self-perception and influence decisions. In one particularly evocative scene, she confronts a neighbor about a minor dispute that quickly escalates into a dialogue about unacknowledged fears and regrets. The scene is shot with a combination of close-ups and over-the-shoulder angles that create intimacy and tension simultaneously, allowing the audience to feel the oscillation between confrontation and understanding. These nuanced portrayals of human interaction invite viewers to reflect on their own experiences and the unarticulated dynamics present in everyday life. The supporting characters, though less developed individually, serve as extensions of Aida's consciousness, embodying societal expectations, familial responsibilities, and collective memory. Their presence reinforces the central theme of the film, which is the negotiation between personal identity and the communal space in which it exists. The cinematography and mise-en-scene play an instrumental role in conveying the film's thematic concerns. Scenes set in the interior of Aida's home, filled with domestic clutter and objects that carry personal significance, contrast with the openness of exterior shots in which she navigates streets, parks, and communal areas. This contrast not only reflects her oscillation between introspection and engagement with the world, but also reinforces the metaphorical journey from confinement to exploration. Particular attention is given to objects that appear repeatedly, such as a key, a notebook, or a simple piece of jewelry, which serve as anchors of memory and points of continuity within the otherwise fluid narrative. The repetition of these motifs underscores the film's meditation on the cyclical nature of thought, memory, and personal growth, emphasizing how small, seemingly trivial items can evoke profound emotional resonance and catalyze self-reflection. The film's score and sound design further enhance the contemplative atmosphere. Moments of silence are interspersed with subtle instrumental motifs, often drawn from traditional music that resonates with the cultural context of the setting. These auditory cues guide the audience's emotional response without dictating it, allowing the subtleties of facial expression, gesture, and mise-en-scene to communicate meaning organically. In certain sequences, the absence of dialogue amplifies the tension and introspection, compelling the viewer to inhabit Aida's inner world more fully. The soundscape functions almost as a character itself, shaping perception, directing attention, and reinforcing the temporal and emotional rhythms of the narrative. This careful orchestration of audio and visual elements creates an immersive experience, ensuring that the film is not merely watched but felt at a visceral level. Comparisons to other films exploring memory, identity, and psychological landscapes are inevitable. Unlike narratives that rely heavily on linear plot progression or overt exposition, Aida engages in a more elliptical, contemplative form of storytelling, echoing elements of films known for their dreamlike quality and introspective depth. However, where some works may alienate audiences with their abstraction, Aida remains grounded in emotional realism, consistently tying symbolic imagery to recognizable human experience. The film balances surreal and concrete elements masterfully, allowing for multiple interpretive layers while maintaining an emotional through line accessible to a wide audience. In this sense, it not only pays homage to cinematic predecessors, but also carves out its own distinctive space, blending artistic experimentation with narrative empathy. Thematically, Aida explores the intersection of memory, perception, and the construction of identity. It delves into the ways in which past experiences inform present behavior, the negotiation between public and private selves, and the subtle influence of environment on consciousness. The film's narrative structure, characterized by cyclical motifs, fragmented sequences, and reflective pauses, mirrors the cognitive processes through which humans process life events, reconcile contradictions, and integrate emotional knowledge. This meta-narrative layer invites viewers to consider not only Aida's journey, but also their own mental and emotional pathways, challenging conventional notions of story as external sequence and positioning it as an internal exploration. One of the most striking aspects of the film is its ability to transform mundane reality into a landscape of profound meaning. Ordinary acts, such as walking through a street, watching neighbors, or handling objects, are imbued with significance, demonstrating the film's philosophy that life's depth is often hidden in simplicity. This approach encourages the audience to perceive the world with heightened awareness, fostering an appreciation for the subtleties of everyday experience and the emotional resonance of seemingly trivial events. The narrative's deliberate pacing reinforces this contemplative mode, allowing viewers to inhabit Aida's perceptual rhythm and internalize the film's thematic concerns experientially rather than didactically. The film also engages with social commentary, subtly reflecting on the dynamics of community, generational memory, and the role of individual agency within collective spaces. Aida's interactions with her environment highlight tensions between personal autonomy and communal expectation, emphasizing how identity is constantly negotiated through social interaction, yet the film refrains from overt moralizing, instead offering nuanced portrayals that recognize the complexity and ambiguity inherent in human relationships. These depictions contribute to the richness of the narrative, providing fertile ground for reflection on how context, culture, and interpersonal dynamics shape experience and perception. Ultimately, Aida succeeds as a cinematic meditation on self-discovery, the fluidity of consciousness, and the intricate interplay between memory, emotion, and environment. Its careful attention to visual composition, sound, and narrative structure allows it to transcend conventional storytelling, creating an immersive experience that invites introspection and emotional engagement. The film's capacity to blend the poetic with the psychological, the symbolic with the tangible, results in a work that is both intellectually stimulating and emotionally resonant, leaving a lasting impression on the viewer that extends beyond the final frame. The audience emerges from Aida with a heightened awareness of the subtleties of human perception, the enduring influence of memory, and the power of mindfulness in navigating the complexities of life. It is a film that rewards patience, observation, and reflection, offering rich interpretive possibilities that continue to unfold long after the viewing experience. In this sense, it achieves what few films aspire to. It becomes not just a story watched, but a journey lived alongside the protagonist, providing insight into the human condition and the nuanced pathways through which identity, memory, and experience converge.